Well, good morning, all. Welcome to Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. We meet here every Tuesday morning to support one another, promote our businesses, think about sharing information, just generally having a conversation and staying engaged with a circle of other like-minded solopreneurs. So welcome to those who are outside, and I'm trying to watch. I'm doing something new this morning, so bear with me because there's a few different things to do than we've done before. But this morning we have with us some people who have joined us, and there may be some others who will join us later. I think this is a little bit different process for some people, so they may find it difficult to get in. Could we begin by introducing ourselves, who we are, where we are, and what we do? So, Anna, how would you like to begin this morning?
You're on mute.
Yes, I'm on mute. I had to find it. How do I take? Okay, so I'm right now in the process of completing my website as well as creating websites for other reps of this newly formed company that we have for air ambulance services. We haven't quite launched our website yet. We're hoping around the 15th. Each one of us will have our own website, so that's what we're working on right now. So other than that, I'm madly packing to go back to Mexico and continue down there for the tourist season down there on the 14th.
All right, on.
Countdown's on.
Well, and aren't we lucky that we are doing what we're doing, because it doesn't really matter where you are. You can still come to our hangouts. So I'd like to welcome Carlo. I've met Carlo just from a distance, actually. He and I belong to Plus Your Business network here on Google+. So, Carlo, would you like to introduce yourself, to say who you are, where you are, and what you do?
Okay, good morning. My name is Carlo Savio. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a small business management consultant that focuses on online information technologies for the 55-plus crowd on an individual basis here in Las Vegas.
Ah. And do you, Carlo, do you find that there's a big uptake for the 55-plus crowd?
Yeah, I refer to it as digital marketing for the rest of us, in the sense that all of us like to shop. We just don't like being sold to. Mm-hmm. And so many people, seniors, I guess to me they're younger than me, but seniors are a little bit put off by being bombarded with 8-9 emails a week from vendors. Mm. And so when you start demystifying it and showing them how it can benefit them under their terms and conditions, it tends to work better. Mm.
Yeah. There's still a big, there's still a big portion of our population that are totally mystified by all of this. That's for sure. Yeah. So welcome to our Success Circle. So the next person in line is Jay. How would you like to introduce yourself this morning and say where you are?
Hello, my name is Jay. I'm inside Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, Earth, and my business is affiliateresources.org, and I've been building websites. I've built probably well over 100 websites, and I've been able to convert them into sales leads, the end result. So we've always had positive results with that.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So I'm glad you're here, Jay.
Thank you.
And Larry, long time no see. Nice to see you. And then you're next in line. So how would you like to introduce yourself and say what you do?
Good to see you. I'm Larry Earnhardt. My business is Alchemy Business Consulting. I like to help people make their businesses profitable or more profitable, and working on a few projects, which include putting a course on udemy.com about the subject of creating profits for your business right now.
Right on. We'll have to hear a little bit more about this Udemy thing. I know just like maybe that much about it. So it's great to have you back, Larry. And Santina, we haven't seen you here for a while, so it's really nice to have you back.
Thanks. I won't be able to come on most Tuesdays because I have another commitment, but it was not on today, so here I am. I am from Victoria, BC in Canada as well, and I am an artist, writer, and a business consultant as well, specializing in helping small independent businesses who are more holistic in nature or creative. That's about it.
Right on. Yes, and I mean, anybody who has a conversation with Santina for any length of time, you certainly will get that sense of creativity. That's where she shines.
Thank you.
So, and I might just say a little something about what I do. My business is called Work-Style Lifestyle Consulting. I love helping solo entrepreneurs find direction, stay motivated, and build systems that promote their business. I do a combination of coaching and consulting. Coaching because I guess I function as a sounding board and ask all the right questions and so forth. But as a consultant, I also provide some instruction, some models, and whatever the solopreneur needs. So we do this Tuesday morning thing. We've been doing this now, I think, it's over a year, I believe. And I also have a program, a 3-part program on using Google. Beginner's Google for Business, and we can say a little bit more about that. So, and I see Craig has joined us. Welcome, Craig. You're just in time to introduce yourself.
Good morning. Hi, my name's Craig. I run a business called Who Marketing here in Rochester, New York. Help small businesses get online with their brick and mortars.
Right on. So good to have you. Glad you were able. I saw you said maybe this morning, but I thought I'm going to invite him anyway.
Happy birthday, Craig.
Oh. and you just turned 25, right?
Again, yes.
He's allowed to vote now.
Yeah, right. Oh dear. I think once we reach a certain age, age becomes not very important, I guess.
It becomes a state of mind.
Yes, absolutely. So, we have a nice little group here, and there may be a few others who will drop in, but I did want to begin on time for a change. So here we go. So we had talked about as a topic, actually, that was a couple of weeks ago. Last week was kind of a total disaster. Because I'm playing with this new Hangout wrapper called a Crowdcast, And I was struggling, and so was everybody else. And I must say, for anybody who's listening, or everyone who's in the room with me here now, I took the time to go in and watch the demos that the folks at Crowdcast have They do a weekly kind of demo Crowdcast. So I went in and watched all of the previous ones and so forth, and suddenly I got a message from somebody who said, "Hi, I'm associated with Crowdcast and wondering how you're doing. Is there anything that I could help you with, etc." So there was quite a bit of back and forthing, and after last week's total disaster, I let them know that it was a disaster, and so I had a personal Crowdcast yesterday morning where I found out a few things, and I also got a message from Cy, the chap that designed the Crowdcast to begin with. So I'm saying this because if anybody in the group is interested in using Crowdcast, it's nice to know that there's very attentive support there. So I mean, what more positive thing could you say about a company than to say that you got that kind of service?
Yeah, personal one-on-one. I mean, that's pretty rare for a digital agency. Typically, they try to streamline it into an FAQ or a support ticket or whatnot. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, but it's a new company, and it's a growing company, and maybe that's where they'll need to go at some point. But right now, that's what happened, and I really appreciated it. And the disaster that happened last week, we determined that it probably wasn't anything that they did or I did. It was just a fluke. So we went through all of the steps together yesterday, and and I basically did the same thing today as I did last week. So it may have been something that was happening in my computer system. I don't know. I mean, it's who knows. There are some new things that are about to come about from Crowdcast, and I've actually been invited to sit in on a preview of some of the new things that are about to come. So, I mean, they've just kind of folded me in and said, "Come on along." So, you got to really like that. So, I did want to let you all know about that because we did have such a disaster last week. So we're using the same topic this morning that we had planned for last week, and so I don't know if you noticed, but what we said was let's talk about a funneling process that takes the viewer from social media back to your website. And I have to say that as I thought about that, I began to really think that the question really was, how do you market your website? So, and we've been trying, I've been trying a few different things. Some of you know that I'm part of the Plus Your Business little experiment about creating a movement and doing the We Dig Mondays experiment, and so I've looked at it and worked with that posting on Monday morning in a couple of different ways, and have some observations around that. And this is what Santina and I had a conversation about yesterday, because it seems that well, she found my posting in Google Plus and had commented, and so I went back to her and asked her for her experience of it, because I really did the posting in a different way than I had been doing before. So, Jay, I remember you and I having a conversation somewhere along the way where you were saying, you should do your blog, and then put your blog on Google Plus, etc. So I did that, but what I noticed was that the viewer needed to take way too many steps. So I'm really thinking of going back to actually posting the Monday Mindset as a post in Google Plus, but also doing a blog for the people on my mail list.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I think also maybe having one page for the live feed, and then having different pages with the embed on it, so that way you can get people to engage with that particular topic on that particular post.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can. I mean, Google Plus does allow you to link back to a blog post, but the end result for the viewer in Google Plus is there are like way too many steps to go and actually read. That it's unlikely that anybody really wants to do that. I mean, we if we see something of interest, we want to read it right now. So that was my experiment. Not that I did get some people who cared enough to go and read the posting, but yeah, that's just way too many steps. So. Now, I see Nathan has joined us. Nathan, are you, your picture is there. Do you want to introduce yourself and say where you are?
Hi, I'm Nathan, and I'm from Mexico at this exact moment. I am a little bit late to the party about the blogging, but I don't know what you're using for a platform, but I've been using WordPress with Jetpack, and Jetpack allows you to automatically post to a whole bunch of different social media channels, including Google Plus, and I've been using it for quite a while now, and it seems to work just fine. So I'm not sure what you were using or what problem you ran into.
Oh, there wasn't a problem. The process that I used worked fine. It just meant that there were too many steps for the viewer.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah.
Don't know what happened though.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit odd.
Lolan, if I can get back to the question that you were asking, because something just came to my mind. You said, well, how do we market the website itself? And something that I've noticed is that I come across some people whose work I would be interested in, but it has nothing to do with the website whatsoever. I usually come across them either through a post that they put up somewhere, or I read a paper of theirs, and then I start communicating with them that way. And many, many times, I would say, like over 97% of the time, I don't even bother going to the website. So I find that it's because we've got so many different avenues of promoting ourselves. Like, what do you promote first? And what I've come away with is really that I believe that we should promote ourselves, especially if we're in the services industry, rather than the website itself. Because the website, I mean, unless you're going to be changing it, very frequently, it's almost like the window display of a retail store. By posting, whether it's a blog or whether it's a paper or whatever it is that you have, actually that becomes your display. This is just my own personal opinion, and finally I'm getting to that after over a year of checking into it, and it seems to be having more of an impact for me than anything else.
So just making the personal engagement or the personal contact based on a common interest.
Right.
Yeah, I think kind of to feed off what Santino was saying was, promoting yourselves, but I would elaborate that and say promote a brand. Now, you can be your brand, you know, and I think that's easy to become a brand. But I think it's really important to say there's a huge difference between promoting yourself and promoting a brand, even though you are your brand. When you become your brand, then it seems like you're talking to a larger audience versus promoting you. Promoting you, you're like a consultant. It just kind of feels more individual, smaller, you know, smallpreneur kind of thing. Whereas if you promote a brand that's you, or even it could be, you know, a brand of several people, then it seems a lot larger. You know, so using the term "we" as, you know, the queen we, as opposed to "I do this," you know, we work on this and stuff like that. So, I'm a huge advocate of creating a brand, you know, and there's lots of people that you recognize, whose names you recognize, you know, that are brands, you know. So the person who's running plus your own Google or plus your own, whatever that's the business is called.
Plus your business.
Thank you, Martin Shervington. You know, so he's using, you know, him as a brand, and there's there's Michael Lozier, and there's all these other kind of speakers that promote themselves as the brand. And I think it's if they didn't do that, if they weren't promoting themselves as a brand, they probably wouldn't be as big as they are.
Right.
I think it you know, I get your point, but I think it depends what your objective is too.
Yes.
And you know, I think that depends on your niche, and if you want to get really big, then yes, you brand just like any other company, like Nike and everybody else. But if your market is for the small, you know, and towards the new economy, which is my thing, like it's going to be individual, and really it's about your values and about all of that brands don't necessarily have, because, you know, they've tarnished themselves. And so I'm not a product, I'm me, and so I want to stand up for what it is that I, you know, want them to know about me. And I think it's taken me years now. I mean, I've branded other companies myself, and so I know about the strategies and all that, but it really makes a huge difference depending on the kind of, you know, people that you want to work with, whom you want to work with. So, you know, it's individual, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'll give you an example. I've got a client. I do search engine marketing for local businesses. I help them get ranked on the internet and whatnot. And one of my clients here in Victoria, he's a realtor, and he is associated to a realtor firm, but he is branding himself as a brand. So, but his service is still one-on-one. So it's all about reaching out to a larger audience, you know, and he does extremely well. You know, he's ranked very well in the search engines. He converts really well. He does his job very, very well, and he gets a lot of traffic coming in, and he gets a lot of visitors. But he starts out as a brand, as him, you know, but then it funnels down into a one-on-one process, you know, because he can't do his job to many people at the same time. It's an individual experience. So I think it's a mindset, and it's also about how you want to deliver your message, how broad you want to deliver your message.
Right.
But it could still funnel down into a one-on-one type of relationship.
But I guess from where we're going here in terms of what do we do to market our website, I mean, I guess it takes us back to another question, which is, what is the purpose of the website? And I know for myself, the purpose of my website is to be able to say what I do, what services I offer, and how to get in touch with me on a one-on-one basis to access what I do, the services that I do. So, I mean, part of the reason for doing social media activity is with the hope that people will go back to the website.
Yeah. I think also, you know, what is your end result? That's the number one question you should be asking yourself when it comes to your website. I find a lot of people build a website because they feel they just need to build a website. There's no direction in what the website does. A website is the online version of a brochure. A website is engagement. A website is a conversation starter with an audience whom you might not be able to reach with other forms of advertising. So, you got to think about that as opposed to just, oh, well, it looks like everyone is using WordPress, so I should use WordPress, or, oh, everyone else is blogging, so I should probably blog too. You got to understand, what is your end result? What do you want people to do on your website? Do you want them to call, click, or come by your business? Once you determine that, then you reverse engineer it. So, okay, all right, great. So I want people to call me. So, okay, great. So I want to be able to have my traffic as much of an easy way to contact me, whether it be by email or by calling me. So I'm obviously going to need to have my phone number. Now, where should I have my phone number? Well, seeing how people read from top to bottom, it would make sense to have your phone number on the bottom of each and every one of your pages or your blogs, because that is the way you convert people. It's like a salesperson saying, hey, here's the greatest, here is the world's best water receptacle. It's wonderful. It's got great rubber, vulcanized grip here, an easy top to remove. It's wonderful. Okay, thanks very much. I'll see you later. So I didn't convert. But if I go, hey, this is the greatest water bottle in the world. It only costs $5.99. How many would you like? So there's a huge difference between not converting and converting. So if you want to have people call or click, then you need to do that on the bottom of each page. Phone me now, right? I can help you solve your problems with this. Now, so once you've determined your end result and you know how to convert them, the next thing is you need to go where your audience is. Now, your audience, the people who want to buy from you, can be in a variety of different places. It can be, there's 4 main areas: paid, organic, social, and offline. So those are the 4 main. Now there's several facets within those 4 main ones. But paid is any kind of ad that you would buy that would show up online. Organic is any kind of content that is within the internet, whether it be you write it or someone else writes it, and it eventually leads to your website. Social is obviously Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, any kind of social network that you would hang out with, or where your audience hangs out in. And offline is T-shirt marketing, brochures, networking. And networking can still be, through a internet portal. Like what we're doing right now is network. I personally consider this offline type marketing because we're talking to each other, right? It's not a one-off thing. So from those 4, where do you think your audience is going to be? Now, paid and organic are kind of the same. One is you work hard for a longer period of time to show up in the search engines, and it stays there for a while. And the other is you just pay money to show up. So
AdWords.
So yeah, exactly, AdWords, and there's a variety of other types of ad type based ways to do ads and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I digress. So once you can determine where people you think are hanging out, and you can experiment by doing a little bit of each. And when you do a little bit of each and you see which one seems to convert well, then scale it.
Now, what do you mean by scale it?
Well, okay, so if you notice, let's say you notice paid is working well. Let's say you notice that your ads are converting quite well. You're getting a lot of people calling you based on them seeing your ad in the search engines for a particular keyword that they're like, let's say artist consulting, So, and then boom, they call Centina. I'm going to get that by the end of the day. Centina. They call Centina. So, and Centina notices that she's getting a lot of calls that are converting into sales as a result of that ad. So if you notice that, well, then you leverage that. Then you increase the budget, where by increasing the budget, you reach out to a larger audience. So that's essentially what scale and leverage, yeah. So the same thing with organic. If you notice there's a lot of leads coming in through organics through a particular search, then leverage that by writing more organic-based content or handing out, if offline's working, then work on offline, hand out more brochures, do more networking, you do more handshaking, baby kissing, whatever. Don't do the baby kissing.
I need to acknowledge Bruce, who has just arrived. Welcome back, Bruce. Long time no see. Do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt everybody. My name is Bruce McCallum. I'm a realtor in Victoria, BC, and I'm an old friend of Lowlands, and occasionally I try to do Google Hangouts as well, all about real estate. Thank you.
Glad to have you back, Bruce. We're just trying to sort of unpack this whole thing about why have a website for starts, and how do we market it? And there seems to be a variety of ways to do that. So yeah. So I mean so I guess what I'm hearing you say, Jay, is even if you decide you're going to do some social networking, you really got to know why you're doing it. What's the result you need to get from that? So if the results that you want from participating in I don't know, Twitter or whatever platform you want, what is it you want people to do? And that's one of the things that I've noticed on Google Plus, is that that's the reason that if we're going to be active in Google Plus, we really must put all that information about ourselves in the profile. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody hears something or reads something that you've done, their natural inclination will be to go back and look at your profile. That would be the next step.
Yeah, yeah. Especially, and also, I just think everyone here is pretty much in service-based industry, mm-hmm. and the one thing I'll say about social is that when people go onto social, they are not actively looking for a service-based industry. Okay, they're not saying like, oh darn, my windshield is broken here. So they're not going to go on Facebook and search for a business that can repair their windshield, right? No. But if their windshield is broken, and then they go onto Twitter and they go, my windshield is broken, and then a smart windshield repair company is using software to track people who mention the word windshield repair within a certain geographic area, they would get that message and then they would be able to reply to it. Hey, we can be there in 10 minutes if you want to use our service. So that for social, I think that works really well. But you have to kind of be able to have that software and know how to use it. Okay, but I mean, once you use it, I think it works wonders. And I have built software specifically for that purpose for my clients, and it works just like a charm. So.
Yeah, because especially if you're working with Twitter, you'd have to sit in front of your computer all day long.
Well, you get alerts, you get notifications, you get an email right away when someone says a word on Twitter that's within 25 kilometers of Victoria kind of thing. They say, oh, someone said this word, and then you can go and respond to them right within the software. But I'm not here to pitch my software, but I'm saying that works quite well in social. But I think people in social in general, they're not actively looking for. They might look for reviews of businesses that they've already heard of. Mm-hmm. They might complain about something that has happened to them. So they might complain about the problem where you can come in as the solution. They might ask opinions from other people, and they might give accolades to businesses that they've encountered with. Say, oh, this was the best windshield repair company. They were awesome. I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So, but they don't actively say, oh, you know what? I'm looking for a house. I need to go onto Twitter.
No.
So.
And I think that in the Google Plus world, that becomes quite important for us to use hashtags in all of our messages, so that, or in all of our postings or whatever, so that when people are looking for a certain topic or whatever, that allows you to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't find in the Google Plus world, I don't find people curate information, useful information about understanding things and so forth. I don't find that people communicate that they need something. I don't think I've ever encountered anybody who has actually said they need something.
Yeah. Social media, I think, is for brand building, and going back to what we started earlier about building a brand, whether it's you or, an actual business, is, to me, I think, still one and the same. So if you're in social and your audience is in social, but they're not looking for you yet, I think building a brand and being inside social there just to get people's, to get your name out there, I think works quite well. I have a client, and it's actually Mary Maids here in Victoria, and what we've started to do is YouTube ads, YouTube commercials. And it has been converting like mad. It's been converting like crazy. Really? Yeah. And our intent was just to build the brand, to get the recognized name. But because we've done all sorts of other ads, and we worked really hard on getting up in organic for a variety of search terms, it's reminding them that they are there. And then they kind of go, oh yeah, you know what? Fall is coming. I'm getting leaves in my house. I can get a good clean going here. And then they call. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
So basically, what I'm hearing is, I mean, this idea of building a brand, and I'm going to mention the posting that I did yesterday about this direct engagement. So at one time, I mean, we all thought of coming into these platforms and pushing information out. But what I'm noticing now is that the successful things happen, the really direct things happen by having a direct engagement one-on-one with people. And that changes the water on the beans altogether, but I mean, I guess it's really no different from going to a local networking event where you meet people face to face and you get their business card and you get to know them a little bit, etc., etc. So it's really boiling down to the same thing when you come onto a social platform, is to connect with people in a very direct and individual way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I went to a networking event. It was a almost like I was considering joining the West Shore Chamber of Commerce. So I went to, they invited me to one of their networking events, and it was great. It was at Oak Bay Bikes out here in Langford, and a lot of people there, and a lot of people were shaking hands. I felt very welcome, and I started talking to one guy, and then we eventually started saying, oh, well, what do you do? And I told what I did, and then I asked, well, what do you do? And they provide organic burial services. Organic burial services. So, and he started to elaborate on what exactly that was, and I found that absolutely fascinating. I thought it was really cool. Now, I would never Google or search organic burial services. I would never even think that a business like that exists. Like, it's environmentally friendly and all this kind of really neat stuff, right? And I had never thought about the environmental impact that burial services could have on our environment. So it just shows you that. So like, I am interested in that, whether it be for myself, for my friends or family members, whatever. But I wasn't actively looking for that. So that is the positive power and effect of networking. I thought that was really cool. When I met Bruce showed that he did these cool hangouts to help people with, selling their homes or buying their homes without the actual intent of getting them as a client themselves. It's educating them. But because he's building himself and he's building the brand and subconsciously showing that he's willing to put this information out there for free, is so that whenever I decide to buy a house or sell mine, I'm far more likely to go see Bruce than anyone else because he's building his trust. It's making me lower my guard down. So I think networking is a wonderful thing. Because it really the whole organic burial services, I think, was just such a really neat thing and I never would have found that out without the two of us networking.
And I think I probably met that guy's wife at a similar event out in Sydney.
Yeah.
Because we had this very similar conversation. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But another example, and Bruce, you may want to jump in here. I remember when we were all just starting out here in Google+, Bruce did an open house. He used a Hangout to do an open house. Do you remember that, Bruce? Have you done any of those since then?
No, to be honest with you, I haven't, but I certainly could. I guess for those people who don't know what we're talking about, realtors, when they list a property, have an open house. And they open the house and people come. So I decided to do something a little bit different. And I set up my computer and I did a Hangout from the open house. But I also, if I remember correctly, I think it was with a stager as well. I think
you had Diana. Yeah.
So the purpose of it really was to experiment with the Google Hangout to see if I could do it in a mobile sense, because you don't need to be tied to your office here. You can go out in the world to do it, and there's a certain way of doing that. And then the other purpose is to show the house, but also the topic of interest really was talking about staging and how staging can help you sell your home for possibly more money and quicker. So there was a whole bunch of reasons I did it, but I think the thing that I learned was that the Google Hangout platform can be done in a mobile sense. So if you've got a certain business that you want to do something out in the world and have a hangout out in the world, you can do that mobily, if you want to call it that.
I think that's a brilliant idea, because that'll bring in more international-based clients. With our Canadian dollar the way it is, people coming from the States, to buy property, I think you can then reach out to a farther audience. I think it's a really brilliant idea.
But then again, it sounds all glamorous and everything, but I gotta admit to you that it's like the early days. Just because you have a website doesn't mean anything. It's how the people find you, and so that's the key. I would say that right now what I'm working on is really getting more branding out there and getting the word out, especially because I created this whole new website about suites in Victoria. And what I'm learning is how critical it is, and Lowland and anybody who else want to jump in here, what I'm learning is that your blog post on Google has to be just right on. And eventually you're going to attract people, and that will attract business. But it's always the posting and offering up good content. There's a realtor who's in Massachusetts, and his name is Bill Garrett, I believe his last name. He does a lot of posting, and he's well known in the community. And that's what you got to do. You got to keep up putting out content, free content that can help people, not with the expectation of selling something, but just trying to help people.
So I'm glad you said that, Bruce, because I was just about to say. So the exercise of branding is, especially if we're talking about from the social media, is to give to educate people, to give them information, to educate them and attract, so that when that need that Jay made mention of, when it comes up, you're the person that they think of. So it's kind of a top of mind sort of.
Yeah,
sort of
I
thing.
think the people that find a product that they need, and then if it's really, really easy to acquire that, I think they'll jump on it.
Mhm.
And I'll just get into this really briefly. In Victoria here, we have a large community of homes with suites, in other words, secondary accommodations.
Mhm.
And when people go look for a house, they go to realtor.ca, usually on the internet, and they search, but it's really hard to go in there and search for homes with suites. So I thought, well, how can I make it easy for people to find that? So what I did is I set up a website, and with one button, this button goes out and finds all the homes with suites. So
Right
instead of people
on.
just going to realtor.ca and struggling, now they can go to one website and do one click and all the homes come up. So I'm hoping that if I tie my posts in with Google, talking about this site and showing how easy it is, gradually people will gather on and call me when they're looking for a home with a suite.
Ah. So, and the other, there's another piece there, Bruce, that I think it's really important is that consistency and regularity, constantly putting information out, so that well, not only so that Google recognizes you, but so does everybody else. Like if you just post something every now and again, it gets lost. And so that's something that from my experience with this Plus Your Business, we decided we were going to post something every Monday morning. And I think it's Carlo, isn't it? It's about a month and a half now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I noticed that by doing that one consistent thing every Monday, I've noticed a huge difference. So even though I've been experimenting with how I'm doing it, whether I do it as a separate blog post or whatever, but that consistency is really key. Yeah. So, Carla, what about you? How do you have a website, and what's your experience of using the social media, and how do you juggle those two things?
Oh, which one do you want me to answer first? Yes. I've been involved with the internet since, well, before the days what we call the FidoNet, and then in '92 I went online as an ISP. I've had various websites. Currently I have 5 or 6 websites that I run for different things that I do. Like everybody else, I'm trying to lasso the social media on-site, off-site, whatever. So while I'm learning and teaching at the same time, which is grateful to be part of this audience, the idea is trying to get it all tied together, but it's kind of, I've been doing this since the 90s, but in different forms of changing it around, and I see different ways of doing it. Right now I'm working on a particular type of blogging software, which is less onerous than WordPress, Joomla. They're very small, easy to use blog sites for clients that can log in like they're logging into their word processor, where the design doesn't get in the way. So I've been focusing on building those. But keep in mind, I only work with about 6 to 8 clients at a time, and those are usually in a 1 year, 6 months to a 1 year cycle. And I'm real happy with that. You know, I'm not trying to take over the world. But I'm really enjoying hearing everybody's input, Jay and Bruce. It's delightful to hear you guys, and Santana, to of course you, to stimulate the thinking process.
Well, and thank you, and by the way, you're welcome to join us anytime you, if you find this is helpful.
Thank you, I will.
if it's useful or
Yeah,
helpful,
yeah, it's
you're
fun.
welcome.
It's yes, yes.
It's
It's
a little
always
bit.
it's
It's a
always
little. It's a little bit different from the way a lot of other Hangouts are being run, because there's so many of us in here. But one thing that I've noticed over the time that I've been doing this is that people that come in and participate here, some of them actually do business together. So
yeah. I enjoy. It's just the first session, but I'm enjoying Jay's energy, your energies, Bruce's energy.
yeah,
And Santana, it's a nice place to be. As Jay was saying, you know, for me, it's better than going to a meet and greet type of event where I remember years ago I worked on Wall Street, and I would get phone calls from guys, and they would say, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How about we get together?" And I would say, "I tell you what, how about I buy lunch and I sell you something?" So my point is, though, I'm enjoying this very much. I appreciate the invitation.
yeah, right on. So, Craig, what about you? I know you have a website, and you know what? So your experience of moving people back and forth between social media and you know your website, and what does your website actually do?
Well, it all depends on which website you're talking about, I guess. I have many. In particular, I have a directory for my local area, and it lists the name, address, and phone number of various businesses. And for a subscription fee, they can get an enhanced listing where I give them a link back to, you know, from my site to their site. I give them a big long, you know, this is us. Here's what we do and that kind of thing, and prominent displays of their branding and, you know, just you know, a short little usually 3-frame slideshow that they can, you know, gives people it gives them impact and gives people a way to get a little better feel for their business. So by putting that all together, not only does Google like it because it sends people from my site to the local sites. I mean that's called a link. That's an external link in that case. But you know, it gets them exposure on my site. It gets them exposure in places where they're not already. In addition to that, I've created a Google page where I promote the local businesses and what's going on in the area. And so that kind of becomes a social network. Mostly it's one-sided. There aren't a lot of people in the local area that are using Google+. Google is not well known, thought of, whatever, in the local market. Facebook is more impactful there, but you know, Facebook has issues with its EdRank stuff, so it can be less effective than you want to believe it would be. But you know, so I haven't found anybody in the area using Twitter, so that just has no impact at all.
I think using the Google Plus page is good because that actually has an impact on the search engine rankings of whatever that page is linking to. So it's essentially creating more Google juice for their listings on your directory site. So I think that's a brilliant idea, you know, especially with it being so centric to the geographic area that you're working with. So
it does seem to bump people to the top of the listings.
Yeah.
And occasionally it's the Google page that ranks, but there's always a link out to that company. So
yeah,
that helps them in the long run and gets them a little more visibility.
I once upon a time built a local directory, and I had people on there, and and people started to complain because it was outranking their own website, and they were asking me, are you able to push it down on Google a little bit, please? So it's like, stop doing your job so darn well, Jay.
Well, I was just really thrilled when I started looking in things like Bing and noticed that I was ranking at the top for the, if I search my local area business, I'm the first result in both Google and Bing. And I haven't done anything to Bing ever. I mean, I'm not even listed on their webmaster tools. But hey, they seem to think that I'm the authority. I'm ranking above the Chamber of Commerce. So, hey, surprise, surprise.
Right on. So now, when you're saying I'm not 100% clear. So you were saying that you created a Google page, which is kind of it's linked to your personal profile.
No.
So, or are you saying you're doing a page for your clients?
No. What I've done is I've created the website, and then I created a business page for the website. So
yeah.
For
okay.
it's like if I were a company, a brick and mortar company, I would create a page inside Google that says, "Hey, look at me, I'm a local company." So I created that, and I used that to spread the news about the companies here in Victor.
Aha. Okay. Got it. So, and from a personal perspective, when you're out and about in Google Plus or whatever, I guess is that the only social network that you're using?
The way I look at social networks is you get really good at one, and then you branch out to the others. I piddle around in Facebook, but again, you don't get the reach because of a thing that they call edge rank. So if people aren't actively engaging with you, nobody sees you. And so Facebook is a little bit difficult to actually use for marketing. But there are eyeballs there, so occasionally I'll go out and share with other groups of people that do have active participants and that kind of thing. And that helps increase my reach a bit. But as far as Twitter is concerned, I haven't found that there is anyone here that is using Twitter. So I mean, there are some marketers out there in the Rochester area, the greater Rochester area, as opposed to the small segment that I'm working with. But in order to get the focus, Twitter doesn't seem to be a viable alternative for me. Instagram, I still haven't figured out how to put that on my computer yet. It's actually a mobile platform, and my phone is antique. So.
Excuse me. Yeah, and Instagram is really more visual.
It is visual impact usually, and if you can use it to your advantage, it can be useful, especially if you're a photography business or something that lives off of visuals.
So I mean, what I think I'm hearing is that social, all of our activity in social is really about building our brand and becoming known. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Getting yourself out there. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, going on what Craig was saying about Twitter, I think Twitter is a short, meaningless marketing relationship with your followers. It's there's one metaphor I've always said about Twitter is like taking a bunch of ping pong balls with little small messages on them, and I'm throwing them at you. You're not going to be able to catch every single message, but you might catch one or two and read it and then continue to catch. So that's why I call it a short, meaningless marketing message. Is that it's so quick because of that stream. It's especially when you start building a large following and a lot of followers. It's hard to get that message out consistently. So, and I think that's actually why they started to do Periscope and all these other kind of
Blab.
Extensions off of the initial core Bootstrap, right? So, is to try to get more engagement because it is the least amount of engagement, It's like the fortune cookie that you get out of your
I love
the fortune out of the fortune cookie. You read it, and then that's it. You don't engage with it. You don't put it. You might put it in your pocket, but then it goes through the laundry and it's toast, right? So.
By the way, I don't know where I saw it this week, but there's a rumor out there that Twitter is going to increase they're going to go away from the 140 characters.
Yeah, they started it with the private messages, the DMs, and they might do it within. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So Anna, we haven't heard from you. I know that you're just creating a new website.
Oh yes.
And I know that you're practicing and playing with making use of Hangouts. And but what about any sort of activity that you do in social, and how do you see that as going back to your website?
Well, I definitely have a Facebook page. I've had that all along when I was with the former company, and I've just changed the branding on that to reflect the new people I'm with. Mm-hmm. So I do that. What I hope to accomplish with my website is that, like you're saying, a blog in there on tips and things about moving to Mexico, more from the point of view of a single woman moving down there or spending at least winters down there, that sort of thing. And those I will, of course, repost through Facebook, my Facebook page. I have come across something called Hootsuite that seems to push it out to all of the social media sites. So I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked into it a lot, but I believe, and Jake can correct me on this, that you do your posting in there. Is that correct? And then send it out.
Yeah, exactly. So it distributes your social media across different platforms. So it could be Twitter, Google+, all this kind of stuff. You could also schedule it. So you can schedule your entire week of posts on Sunday, and then it'll drip it out on the day you want. And it's a Canadian company.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
How does that differ from getting it on my website? I would still have to do a blog or put that same blog into my website, correct? That's the part I'm not sure of.
Yeah, so you build your content. So whatever it is you're sharing, so if you're on Facebook and you're using your phone, you take a picture and you kind of go, hey, check out this picture. That's one source. That's your medium that you're using to share that. So you can do the same thing by taking that photo. It goes to your computer, and then you get home, and then you want to share that on Facebook and on Google and on Twitter. So you can drag that photo onto Hootsuite. You can even do it on your phone, but you can also drag that photo on Hootsuite and then put a nice little message on there, hashtags, and then distribute that out with one click versus on your phone going to Google+, Facebook, Twitter. Okay, so it's all it really does is it boils down in terms of the amount of time that you're using to spread your message across multiple social media networks. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a variety of other things that it does. You can do some research in terms of what people are saying. You can research hashtags, keywords, that kind of thing. The one thing that I don't like about Hootsuite personally is that when you post something out to your Facebook inside Hootsuite, it brands it as posted by Hootsuite. It almost represents you. And I find that in terms of creating a personal experience with your social followers, it shows, they're using Hootsuite, they're using Sprout Social, So it kind of leaves, for some people, it leaves them a bad taste in their mouth because then it doesn't. The whole premise of social media is to create a personal feel, Mm-hmm. And so you just got to be aware of that. I mean, other than that, I think it's a great piece of software.
Well, there's another one. There's another one. If you're working out of Google+, there's one that it's called Friends Plus Me, and it will do the same thing. So if you do a post in Google+ and you've set up Friends Plus Me, it will post to the other platforms that you choose.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that I still have to go into WordPress and post my blog to get it on my website. That's still a separate
That's correct.
Right?
Exactly, it is. So that's what I was trying to explain earlier, Anna, is what I did was I created a blog post first, and I have a MailChimp that sends out the blog post to everybody on my email address, my email list, okay? So then what I did was I went to Google Plus and I put it in a posting there. I linked back to my blog post. So that's what I meant when I said that people had to take so many steps. If they were in Google Plus, if they clicked on that link, it would take them back to my website, but it just seemed like there were too many steps. So, you know, if you're doing, I mean, it is important to do a consistent, you know, frequent blog post, but I'm playing around with what's the best way to link those two things
and to deliver them effectively.
Yeah. So that it's a really easy, you know, one-step process for the viewer.
Use Jetpack.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Use Jetpack. I've been doing it consistently ever since I started blogging with my latest project. I've been using it for quite a long time. Set up all your social media channels through Jetpack. And when you're done, when you're ready to post, you hit publish and it sends it out to every single one of them automatically. You can send out to 6 channels all at once.
Yeah, I get that. But when I said that it was too many steps, I was referring to if the viewer is in a Google Plus feed, looking at the feed, and they saw a posting of your blog, they would still have to click on that. That would take them back to the website.
Sure,
so that's extra steps that people.
But that's totally normal.
Well, it seemed like, and for me, I was posting that one post in a variety of ways to make use of some things that Google Plus has. For one thing, I wanted to share. I shared it as public. Then I needed to put it into a collection, which meant another share. And then I wanted to put it into my community. So those are 3 different shares, and then you end up with all these layers. And so the fewer layer, like if you're a person that's just in Google Plus and playing around there, you want to be able to click on something and get it right now, without having to go back 3 or 4 steps.
There are a couple of people that are in Google Plus. I guess I can say his name. David Amerland is one of them. He's a very prolific writer, and on Sunday he does this thing called Sunday Read. Well, next to the posting, he does what's commonly referred to as a TLDR, too long didn't read. It's basically an excerpt of his Sunday post. And so in 500 words, he gives you the overview and a way to click through if you want to read the entire 2,500 word post. So he's basically giving you a long form Google Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than your standard 100 words. If often people won't even do 100 words in Google Plus, they'll give you 25, you know, a headline, and here click here. But you know, he takes it one step beyond, and he gives you an excerpt of what it is he wrote about, and he warms you up to say, oh, I really like what he's saying. Yeah, maybe I do want to read the whole thing. So that's how he handles that kind of thing.
Thank you for that, Craig. I mean, I have stumbled on his postings, but I never really took in the process that he was using. So I will definitely go and look and see how he does that, because that's the kind of linking together that makes sense. Interesting.
Yeah. I think also just to touch quickly on what you were saying, how you wanted to post to public collections in your group. You can actually, I'm pretty sure you know this, you can do all three at the same time in the one post as opposed to doing it separately.
No. when you're sharing it out, you can do public plus a community, but you can't do public plus a collection. Like there are various
really?
blocks there. Yeah.
So if you share it in a collection, that limits you to not being able to share it to other stuff?
Well, you can. You just have to do it in a separate share. Can't do it all in one step.
Really? I thought I did this about less than a week ago. I thought I had done that. Interesting. I'll have to. I
don't think so. Carlo, what about you? Do you have you noticed that you can't post? You have to do separate posts.
Yes, but I'm listening to what Jay and Nathan is saying. See, Nathan has the advantage of a plugin, and Jay is suggesting, I'm going to do some quick tests with it later in the day, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I know the plugin that Nathan is using. It's called Jetpack. It's actually put out by WordPress. It's owned by WordPress, and what Jetpack is, it's a single plugin that does many functions. Gives you core analytics of stuff, and one of the things it does is it does content amplification through your social channels. So where it takes your title and your meta description and then posts it in Twitter, Google+, Facebook, any kind of social channel that you have set up within your Jetpack. Now, as a convenience, I think it's a great thing. The one negative thing that I think with Jetpack is that it doesn't create a personalization. So specifically with Google+, you can kind of add editorial comments, at the top. So I think Carlos had the conch there.
I have a question for Jay or Nathan. Have either of you experimented with Buffer as far as distributing? Okay. What's your feedback?
I think it's Buffer. I mean, I was privileged enough to have to actually go to a marketing conference in Seattle a couple months ago and actually talk to some reps from Buffer, and they recently did an experimental thing where they talked about the impact of social through the search engine rankings, and how it is now considered, just recently they consider that when you engage within social, it has very little impact in terms of second layer shareability. So what I mean by that is I share it I do it in Buffer, and it goes out and it kind of gets distributed, whether it's through the plugin that they provide or actually on their website through their paid service. What happens is, what they've noticed is they'll get, I'll get the information as a reader, I might read a little bit, but I won't share it. But if you do it manually through Google+ or Twitter and add additional editorial-based content, it tends to get shared more. So I found that really fascinating. So this is why I wanted to jump in with what Nathan was saying with Jetpack. I love Jetpack. I think it's a great plugin. For the sole feature of it, provides core analytics for your posts and stuff, and also the ability to share through social. But since this new kind of case study came out, I've tried to do social sharing manually. Personally, I try to stick with Google+ because it has the best impact for my business. But I also provide editorial-based comments. I say like, hey, I actually address it like it's an email. I'll put the title in the stars, so it bolds because that shows up in the search, and then I'll say hi folks, comma, space, and then I write a letter. I say, oh, just to let you know, here's what I just wrote. Here's why I wrote it. Let me know what you think of it, and all that stuff. And as a result, I get more engagement that way versus sharing the stuff, just the actual link.
The automatic.
Yeah. So regardless of what tool you use, whether it be your own proprietary tool, Hootsuite, Buffer, Jetpack, Share This, whatever. I think it's important that we create some sort of personalization within that step and create that engagement, because then you're more likely to get it shared. Because there's no point to automatically share this stuff if it's not going to get shared or read. It might get read, but it might not get additionally shared.
That's it.
Jay, one last question. Jay, one last question.
Yeah.
Does Buffer also put their tagline?
By default, I think.
Yeah,
if you
like
don't,
Hootsuite.
Oh, on Facebook, yes. On Google Plus, no. And on Twitter, no. I think Facebook they do, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we could go on and on and on here about
This was great.
all of our experiences, and I'm looking at the clock and saying, oh my word, we're way over. So I think I thank you all for sharing. I certainly got some new ideas about what I want to do and how I want to do that, and I hope that you folks did too. But I do believe it's time now for us to wrap up today's conversation with a reminder to join the Being Your Own CEO community. You'll find lots of resources in there and great conversations. And be sure to contribute whatever you're doing. I post a lot of things in there, but everybody else is welcome to do the same. And if YouTube is your pleasure, you could subscribe to my channel over there as well. So this is Lowell Ann signing off, Being Your Own CEO for this week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.